Time, that's when you're going to start to notice the changes. Winds switch out of the northwest, snow starts to mix in, and temperatures fall. We're talking temperatures near freezing. That is going to be a concern with wet roadways still possible. Anything that's untreated could freeze up pretty quickly as those temperatures fall.
Your complete WTMJ 5-day forecast coming up in 5 minutes. A former Greenfield police officer faces charges for recording underage girls.
41-year-old Fernando Bustos of Greendale faces one felony count of invasion of privacy with a surveillance device of victims under the age of 18. Bustos was a security coordinator with Cristo Rey Jesuit High School. In reviewing his school-issued laptop, authorities noticed 379 videos, many of which showed girls changing in the locker room between May of 24 and February of 25. One video revealed the defendant installing a video camera inside the girls' locker room. Greg Matzik, WTMJ News.
If convicted, Bustos faces up to $10,000 in fines and up to 3.5 years in prison. President Trump's Tuesday night address, the longest speech to Congress in history and immediately polarizing. Republicans cheering, Democrats jeering. President saying the days of rule by unelected bureaucrats are over. House Speaker Mike Johnson tells ABC News why that doesn't apply to Elon Musk, head of the so-called Department of Government Efficiency.
He's a patriotic American who is allowing us to do something that Congress has not been able to do for decades, and that is actually find the data from the bureaucrats who hide a lot of this misuse of taxpayer dollars.
Trump talked about his efforts to bring Ukraine to the bargaining table with Russia, sweeping tax cuts, energy independence, transgender issues, and spent time chastising Democrats in attendance, bragging about his victory in November, and claiming that he has a mandate from the American people. Vice President Vance heads to the U.S.-Mexico border today to check in on his boss's efforts to curb illegal crossings. ABC's Jim Ryan says Vance will be joined by Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard.
Among the delegation's stops during today's border tour will be Shelby Park, a municipal green space along the Rio Grande that Republican Governor Greg Abbott seized last year as a military staging area. Customs and Border Protection says arrests for illegal crossings of the Rio Grande fell 39% between December and January.
Tariff compromise deals with Mexico and Canada could be announced by President Trump soon. That's according to Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. He said the possible agreements would see a scale back of the 25% tariffs on imports from Canada and Mexico that went into effect yesterday. Expansion of Milwaukee's streetcar system in the short term remains unlikely. Mayor Cavalier Johnson tells WTMJ's The Upswing the biggest obstacle for expansion of the system remains limitations imposed on Milwaukee by Act 12.
That law doesn't have those same restrictions for other communities investing in infrastructure projects, only for Milwaukee, which is unfortunate because that hampers our ability to expand the hop the way that we traditionally have done it.
The streetcar remains without a system manager. It is currently in need of repairs to multiple switches that have shorted multiple times this winter. Time for news about your money. The WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Dow up 197 points. NASDAQ up 46. The S&P 500 is up 17. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Outdoor Living Unlimited. WTMJ News Time, 9:05.
Hi folks, this is Hank Albert, owner of BBC Lighting. At BBC, we sell all the top brands of lights and ceiling fans, such as Visual Comfort, Tech, Schoenbeck Crystal, and hundreds more. We get every brand, and our prices are the lowest. I guarantee it. In our award-winning showroom, you'll also find factory closeouts with lights and fans priced well below their original cost. If it's lampshades or repairs you need, we do all that too. There's something for everyone at BBC, including fun for the kids and our famous free popcorn. We're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, Saturday, 10 to 4, and located at 20th and St. Paul Avenue, across from Sobelman's, near the Potawatomi Casino. Stay safe and healthy, my friends.
Hey, John Mercure here for Guthrie and Fry Water Conditioning. My reverse osmosis system in my house is fantastic. The water I drink, the water we feed the dogs, the water we cook with is crisp, clean, and clear thanks to Guthrie and Fry's RO system. It's technology that's been around for a long time, but it's the best in the business, and Guthrie and Fry will get it to you. It's affordable, it's effective, and you'll feel a lot better. It's all about the science. Southeast Wisconsin's #1 choice, and my choice is Guthrie and Fry Water Conditioning.
Better water makes a big difference. Guthrie and Fry.
When you work at St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores, you'll be helping us help others. There are many that need our help. and we need your help to carry out our mission. St. Vincent de Paul is always looking for part-time team members. You'll get competitive pay, benefits, and flexibility in scheduling. So apply online at svdpmilw.org or stop by Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield, 23rd in Lincoln, or 76th and Bradley Road in Milwaukee.
You're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All Sports Desk. Bucks got a huge performance from Giannis in a 127-121 win over the Hawks from Atlanta. Bucks host the Mavericks tonight. Tonight, also, the 12th-ranked Badgers have battled Minnesota from Williams Arena. Wisconsin's lost 2 of its last 3, falls to 22-7. Badgers Sports Update sponsored by Siding Unlimited, siding and a whole lot more. Also tonight, number 20 Marquette visits UConn. Milwaukee begins the Horizon League tournament as a 3rd seed tomorrow night. The Brewers are back in split squad action this afternoon, squaring off against the White Sox for a pair of games. And Brandon McManus agreed to a 3-year deal with the Packers, a deal worth nearly $15 million to stay with Green Bay. Take a look at the roads now with your WTMJ Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic. We have a crash that is blocking the right shoulder. It is off right, so not blocking a lane, just the shoulder. This is going to be at I-43 North at Locust Street. Here's your WTMJ 5-day forecast. Wind advisory from 2 to midnight for all of southeastern Wisconsin. We're seeing gusts up to 45 to 50 miles an hour possible. The showers this morning turning to snow, and the wind is going to make the temperatures fall. High today 45, dropping to about 32 by 6 this evening. Snow showers should end tonight, but it'll be windy and there will be slippery spots on the roads. Overnight low tonight 24. Sunny, breezy 40 tomorrow. Chance of light snow to the south. Friday mostly cloudy 38. Partly cloudy flurry Saturday night, 42 for the high, and partly cloudy and 49 on Sunday. 37 in Madison, 35 in Green Bay, 46 in Milwaukee. I'm Connie Weber. Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 9:09.
Good morning, Wisconsin. So let's pour that coffee and talk to some experts about what's going on in Milwaukee, Madison, Washington, and beyond. Broadcasting live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue in beautiful downtown Milwaukee. It's the Political Power Hour on WTMJ. In for Steve Scavini, here's Tracy Johnson.
Should we talk about the government?
Good morning, Wisconsin. Great to be with you today on this lovely Ash Wednesday and a blessed Lent to all of you who celebrate. We got a packed show, man. This needs to be a 2-hour show. I'm joined in studio by Jake Curtis. He's general counsel for Institute for Reforming Government. We're going to talk about President Trump's speech last night. We're going to talk about the Supreme Court race. We might even throw in a little March Madness. Stay tuned. Yes, Jake, thanks for being here. Let's start there. President Trump addressed joint session of Congress last night, and it was a very long speech, 100 minutes or so. And what stood out to me is that, there was a lot of policy covered, whether it was the economy, the immigration, foreign policy. There was a lot covered, and there was a very bipartisan tone, I think. And I thought that after watching it, I would see the reaction, and the polling suggests that people were very divided. But what we saw from the latest CBS YouGov poll is that 76% of the people who watched that actually said they approve of what was said there. What were some of your takeaways from that speech?
Sure. And I would agree with your kind of initial analysis. When you look at kind of the issues that President Trump was focusing on, he was very strategic. And it was a long speech, but there were clearly some kind of focus areas, and he focused on the areas that frankly have a lot of consensus. And even the ones that maybe if you looked at the kind of media coverage over the last week, you would think there's a lot of divisiveness, but for example, take Ukraine. Maybe not how all of us would have approached a meeting with Zelensky, but I think it's fair to say a lot of even certainly center right and even some on the left agreed not a great strategy on the part of Zelensky to come into the Oval Office and not be willing and ready to actually negotiate, to demand these security guarantees. And so I'm just saying all that as an example of, if you looked at kind of like the media hysteria following Zelensky, you would think that that's an issue that Trump wants to avoid. That's a winning issue right now, because even moderates to maybe even some Democrats are starting to look at something like this ongoing conflict. We've gone through this, right? When you look at Iraq and Afghanistan, like, the American people don't want these never-ending conflicts. So to continue to fund a war with no clear end game is not a winning strategy. And those are the type of issues that President Trump focused on last night.
Well, and even what we saw during that speech is he announced that there was going to be a deal, that Zelensky actually sent the president a letter, and perhaps this strategy worked. I mean, he focused on a lot of the successes, and he focused on a lot of things where we had these ongoing issues and the American people wanted change. And so we got to try something a little bit different. He focused a lot also on immigration and securing the border. Again, a winning issue that if you didn't stand up and applaud when they talked about Lake and Riley and the Lake and Riley Act, I mean, something has to be significantly wrong with you.
Well, and that gets to, I've talked about this before. I think Steve and I have talked about this. I am surprised that following the fall results, and I've tried to be pretty objective. Do I think that it was some enormous landslide? Obviously, it
No,
wasn't.
Wasn't.
But frankly, Stephen A. Smith, right? Even some folks on the left have continued to make the point, like, you cannot dismiss the results. And while it may not be a landslide, there was a significant shift, right? And if you want to use the M word, right, a mandate. Call it what you want, but he won every swing state, did very well with certain, frankly, minority groups that don't historically vote Republican. There's a shift in focus, right? When it's something like immigration, right? The American people want to see a change in kind of immigration policy. They don't want our border overrun. And I am surprised that the left and even some of the media they're still pressing some of these same messages that are just not resonating with the American people. And I don't quite understand why they don't kind of see, and last night was a perfect example of these issues that President Trump is focusing on. And he may be kind of a disruptor right now, and he may be doing this in an unconventional manner. Like, these are issues that people care about. I mean, people care about border security overnight, essentially. I mean, and this isn't, Trump can certainly get hyperbolic, but he's not when it comes to immigration. I've looked at the numbers. I'm passionate about this issue. At IRG, we did a report. I mean, you had months where it was approaching 300,000 border encounters under the Biden administration. Yes, halfway through 24, the border encounters decreased because Biden himself signed an executive order, which frankly just further fed into the narrative that he could have stopped this, and he chose not to. And now, certainly with a different administration, a different approach, border encounters are at effectively zero. And that just further feeds in the narrative that we could have stopped this. We didn't have to have this issue, and that's an issue that the American people care about. And that's why Trump is talking about it during his State of his Union. He's not talking about some of these other issues that the media wants him to.
Well, one of the biggest issues for voters and the American consumer is the economy. And he is getting some pushback that he didn't really talk about the economy until a little bit later. And he already instituted these tariffs, which I think sent the market into a spiral. But then he added that he's asking Congress to pass this budget reconciliation that would include no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security. So was this really good timing for him in terms of being able to balance those two very, very divergent issues that have to do with the economy?
Yeah, and I think you're hitting the nail on the head. Like, it was really a timing issue. So with implementation of the tariffs, I mean, I think it's going to take time, for better or worse.
Well, and we might have a deal in the coming days. I mean, maybe this strategy worked. Who knows?
You may have a deal with Ukraine with President Zelensky. Implementation of the tariffs may lead to some sort of deal with Canada or Mexico. So the timing was interesting, and I think that's why Trump really didn't want to focus on it as much as maybe some of these other issues, because from his perspective, I think there needs to be some time to see if additional deals can be cut. and really to see how it impacts. I mean, yes, the markets reacted to it in a negative way. So I think that's another example of where he didn't want to focus on that because he needs time there.
It's never a dull moment with President Trump. Jay Curtis, Institute for Reforming Government. When we come back, there is a poll coming out today from Marquette University that will give us a little peek inside what's happening with the Wisconsin Supreme Court race here April 1st. We'll talk about that when we come back. Jay Curtis, IRG. I'm Tracy Johnson, in for Steve on WTMJ.
Hey Bucks fans, it's Justin Garcia from the Bucks Radio Network, here to tell you about the launch of the Bucks Central podcast feed. Everything Bucks, on demand, in one spot. From sideline to sideline, hear all the ankle-breaking, rim-rattling, and twine-tingling highlights, exclusive interviews, and more. Subscribe to the Bucks Central podcast feed wherever you get your podcasts. All the Bucks content your heart desires in one spot. Check out the Bucks Central podcast feed.
Imagine all the things you dream of under one roof. You're thinking of eBay. Fashion, collectibles, car parts. It's all there. Go find the thing that keeps you up at night. eBay. Things people love.
We love being a trusted friend in the community for those who need an attorney but don't know where to turn. Our clients aren't the kind of people who typically bring lawsuits. Our clients have been hurt in a crash or accident and need our help and advice. I'm Jeff Zergabel of Pasternak and Zergabel. Frank Pasternak and I are injury lawyers living, working, and giving back in our community. When you need help from exceptional personal injury lawyers, go to Pasternak and Zergabel at injurywisconsin.com.
Tired of staring at the same old garage door? Vince Vitrano here, Lifetime Door Company, wants to give you a new one for free. Your chance to win by texting GARAGE to the WTMJ talk and text line, 855-616-1620. All you need to do is take a picture of your garage door or get creative. Tell us a story. Register to win, and you can pick the door of your dreams. Valued at up to $8,000, text GARAGE to the WTMJ talk and text line, 855-616-1620. For contest rules, visit our website, WTMJ.com.
Welcome back on WTMJ. I'm Tracy Johnson, in for Steve on this Ash Wednesday. Jay Curtis from IRG, you are an attorney, general counsel, right? And you're following the Wisconsin Supreme Court race, Brad Schimmel, Susan Crawford, and this is an expensive race. This has got national focus. What's driving that, and why is this so important?
So I think there's a lot of things driving it. One is, I work with some national groups. Wisconsin truly is one of the three most critical swing states when you look at national politics, obviously at the presidential level. So, just naturally, there's going to be a lot of focus and attention from various groups in Wisconsin because Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, maybe North Carolina, Georgia, depending on the year, but Pennsylvania, Wisconsin really are permanent swing state status right now, which makes it critical, whether it's governor, Supreme Court, right, to have those levers of power. So, I think there's a lot of groups out there that want to ensure that Wisconsin, if you're on the left, that you ensure you have a Democratic governor and a progressive Supreme Court. And so right now at 4-3, right, this is a critical election because over the next 3 years, if the progressives lock in a majority, it's a progressive majority to at least 2028. If conservatives can flip it, they then have two opportunities to defend that in 26 and 27. So it's fair to say, like, this is kind of like for all the marbles, at least for the next 3 years, control of the Supreme Court is up, and there's a lot of national implications.
Well, and we see that I heard Susan Crawford at Rotary Club yesterday, and Brad Schimmel will be visiting the club in the next couple of weeks. But she really keyed in on Elon Musk and the fact that Elon Musk is involved in this race. And now we're seeing a lot of focus. This is all becoming about Elon Musk, and people's heads are exploding over it. And there's money being spent that is like an anti-Elon Musk effort. What is going to energize the voters? Because right now what I see, I just saw some numbers on spending, they're about equal. And actually, Brad Schimmel is outspending Susan Crawford by just a very little bit. But this is going to be kind of an equal spend race. So what's going to get the bases out?
Great question, and I think what we're seeing right now is a play from the left that these national issues, that Elon Musk, that's going to be the issue that's going to drive voters, which is an interesting strategy on their part. If you look back to the 2023 Supreme Court or even 2020, that was very much focused on, on the left. The focus was abortion and the right, kind of judicial philosophy. The left seems to be kind of going all in on this Elon Musk kind of nationalization of the race, where you're making all about Trump and Musk. I don't know if that's the right strategy. Right? Trump won Wisconsin a few months ago. So, and as we started the show talking about, on some of these issues, the American people, you talk about DOGE, the American people want efficiency in government. They don't want waste, fraud, and abuse. And so to make their strategy for the Supreme Court race all about Elon Musk, I don't know if that's a winning strategy.
So what's the winning strategy then for Brad Schimmel? I mean, I am a little bit lost in this, because you are seeing ads, and granted, a lot of these ads are from outside groups. They're talking about the handling of rape kits and abortion and things like that. It's really hard for a voter to understand what's the truth and what's not. But if you're advising Brad Schimmel, what is the message that's going to invigorate that base?
Yeah, you and I talked about this yesterday. I think it's frustrating right now that I've kind of used the analogy of a tennis match, right? It's just back and forth about, plea agreements or various decisions they've made as judges that really I don't think motivate the average Wisconsin voter. At IRG, we've been focusing every week on specific issues, not from a policy perspective, right? Because that's not the job of a judge or a justice, but how a future either conservative or progressive majority would address various issues. Act 10, school choice, Second Amendment issues, the business climate. We've been focusing on that and trying to outline how a future court would address that. I think that's what frankly, both candidates should be talking about.
For the good of the voters.
For the benefit of the voters, so they can make an informed decision. Because this shouldn't, I've talked about this before. These elections should not be about a judicial candidate's values, right? It should be about judicial philosophy and how they're going to interpret cases, not their personal values.
Well, and early voting starts on March 18th, and the poll will be released today at 12:15. It will be an interesting peek at really the state of this race, and I would expect that we're going to see a lot of money continue to pour in. Jay Curtis in studio with me, Tracy Johnson, in for Steve on WTMJ.
So close you can smell the rubber on their shoes. Okay, maybe not that close, but as close as you can get. Bucks Insiders on Wisconsin's Midday News with Greg Matzik and Jessica Ty.
Here's a pass inside to Giannis. Giannis guides it through as he took the feed from Lillard, his second assist to Giannis.
It's Bucks Insiders every Thursday at 12:35. Sponsored by Best Electric and Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin.
You're right, and I'll agree. It does sound too good to be true. But offering you affordable treatment that alleviates pain, which really does work, that we've seen in most cases insurance paid for in full, is a definite reality. It's pain relief, really. And these are FDA-approved treatments. They're safe and proven to reduce inflammation and alleviate pain. Yeah, you'll have to get a couple of shots, and I know that can scare people. But the needle is extremely small. And after giving shots like this hundreds of thousands of times, you'll see we make it very easy. You're going to feel the relief that our powerful pain relief agents give you. They're pain relief drugs that solve pain problems. And the way I feel is that Rejuvenix should be the first stop for anyone living with pain in shoulders, hips, elbows, and knees. At $65 per joint, per injection, it's probably the most affordable pain relief option available that actually works.
Rejuvenix. Alleviate your pain. Rejuvenate your life.
Rejuvenex Google reviews will tell you more.
Do you know the secret to losing up to 1 pound of fat every day? At Milwaukee Weight Loss, we know the secret. Our doctor-developed, easy-to-follow weight loss program helps you lose weight fast, naturally and safely, and with no drugs or injections with risk of serious side effects, no prepackaged meals, bars, shakes, and no exercising required. Our program helps reset your metabolism so you can keep the weight off for good with a coach for ongoing support. Our program costs up to half as much and works up to twice as fast as most other programs. Go to MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com to schedule your free consultation.
Hey, it's WTMJ's Steve Scavidi. I've been on this weight loss journey for about 4 weeks, and I've already lost 20 pounds thanks to my amazing team at Milwaukee Weight Loss. My wife's on board. Kathy loves it, and we are both feeling more energized.
Many patients lose 20 to 30 pounds in about a month or two. That's up to a pound per day. Schedule your free consultation by calling 262-449-1180 or online at MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com. That's MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com. Results may vary.
We're on the air in 3, 2...
Hey, it's Vince Vitrano. John Mercure here. Wait, does that car say Pella on the side? What's Gina Della doing here?
Sorry, I'm late. We're on the air in 3, 2...
Recognize my voice? Get used to it.
Talk all things Windows, business, and being a boss in more ways than one with Gina Della for Pella's very own show right here on WTMJ. Starting February 1st, tune into What's the Difference every Saturday morning at 6:30 or stream anytime on WTMJ.com.
What a tease.
Welcome back on WTMJ. We're breaking down the Supreme Court race with Jay Curtis from IRG. One of the big issues is around the business climate that will be significantly impacted regardless of what happens with the court because of specific cases that are before that court. Tell us a little bit about that and what we should be learning more about and watching for.
Yeah, it's one of the issues that IRG has been pushing out the last couple of weeks because nobody really is talking about it. But there's kind of some indicators that the progressive majority on the courts would definitely at least consider taking the court in a different direction. People forget, right? We had a huge deficit, right? And that was really the point of Act 10. They called it was a budget repair bill. We had to have these reforms. Act 2 in 2011 implemented a lot of these kind of tort reforms, kind of pro-business climate reforms. Wisconsin was, I think, ranked 41st in 2011 as far as business climate, rose all the way to top 10 by 2017 because of the reforms that were put in place. And so, we put a primer talking about these issues like expert witnesses and just really basic things. But again, Tracy, I know you're involved in the business community and development. Like it's not that you're giving handouts to business. It's that you're creating an opportunity and a climate where business can thrive. And we want those pro-business policies because we're competing against 49 other states.
About the regulatory environment, that's certainly something to watch. I appreciate all your work on that. All right, we got about 15 seconds. March Madness is coming up, and I know that this is hot for you. What are you thinking? Who's going?
So Marquette, Wisconsin, great teams. SEC is amazing. Duke is amazing, featuring Wisconsin Lutherans, Con Knippel. So just tons of Wisconsin connections, and it's going to be an exciting month.
Very exciting. Love March Madness. Jay Curtis, Institute for Reforming Government. Thank you, as always. ABC News and Headlines is next.
ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. The Supreme Court ruling that USAID must pay international aid groups that have already provided services. President Trump had been trying to pause that funding in Washington. ABC's Devin Dwyer has more.
5 justices on the Supreme Court said Trump needed to comply with that order and, at least for now, begin paying out that $2 billion in aid, a sliver of foreign aid from this country, not by any means all foreign aid, but just a sliver to these particular groups that brought this challenge.
The president delivering his first address this term to a joint session of Congress, touting his administration's rapid-fire moves on reshaping U.S. foreign policy, economic policy, and immigration policy. Today, Vice President J.D. Vance, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, and Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard will all be visiting the southern border. The market's holding a bit steadier following the sharp drop the last 2 days because of the tariff announcements. This is ABC News.
Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 9:31. I'm Connie Weber. An inmate on the run in Dodge County. Sheriff's deputies looking for 30-year-old Alyssa Lehman, who has a last known address of Green Bay. She was in the Dodge County jail with privileges to leave for work in Horicon on Tuesday. She reportedly left work to go early to Walgreens in Beaver Dam and was last seen at the Super 8 Hotel in Beaver Dam around 3:30 p.m. Last seen wearing a heavy gray jacket, blue jeans, white shoes, gray knit cap. We have a photo on our website, WTMJ.com. In Caledonia, a woman found stabbed to death. Her teenage son has been arrested. Police say the 15-year-old surrendered to them at his home, where the boy's mother's body was found with stab wounds and blunt force trauma. No word yet on any possible motive. Starting May 7th, real IDs are required to fly domestically or visit a federal building. The Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel reports more than 36% of Wisconsin's valid driver's license or ID cards currently don't display the Real ID star. They're not compliant. Those who still need a Real ID must apply for one at a physical Department of Motor Vehicles office. Cost is the same as getting a regular driver's license, $34. Time for some news about your money in the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Dow is up 80 points, 42,601. NASDAQ down 12, 18,272. The S&P 500 down a point at 5,776. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Taking a look at the roads now with your WTMJ Johnson & Sons Paving Time Saver Traffic. A new disabled vehicle. This one's going to be on the ramp from Silver Spring Drive to I-43 South. Just affecting the ramp. Doesn't appear to be any delays on the freeway in that location. Here's your WTMJ 5-day forecast. There is a wind advisory in effect from 2 p.m. to midnight for all of southeast Wisconsin. Those morning showers turning to snow this afternoon. Windy and colder. High today 45, dropping to freezing by this evening. Snow showers should end early. It's going to be windy. Some slippery spots on the roads. Overnight low 24. Sunny and breezy tomorrow. High 40. A chance of light snow again Friday with a high of 38. Flurries Saturday night after a high of 42. And partly cloudy and 49 on Sunday. 37 in Madison, 35 in Green Bay, 46 in Milwaukee. I'm Connie Weber. Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 9:33.
Do you want the economy mulch or the premium? The only real difference is that the premium mulch has thicker strands, while the economy mulch is finer. But the colorant we use for both is of the highest quality, and that's why the color of our mulch lasts longer. And our mulch comes from trees, not pallets, and we process it all in-house. That's why our prices are so low. Erickson's Landscape Supply, high-quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less. Commercial or residential, visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection. At Erickson's Landscape Supply, we have durable, maintenance-free polywood patio furniture and #1 grade treated natural pine Amish-made patio furniture. And we also have a wonderful assortment of concrete benches, statues, and fountains available in a selection you just gotta see to believe. Erickson's Landscape Supply, high-quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less, plus a whole lot more. Commercial or residential, visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection or stop on in today.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
This is Chief Anti-Heartbreak Officer Brian Wickert. While national headlines talk about the inventory of homes for sale being a lot higher this year, that's still not the case in most of Wisconsin. The good news is that now, even in winter, AccuNet's experienced loan consultants are already helping many of our pre-approved home shoppers become homeowners and avoid the heartbreak of losing in a multi-offer situation. Sure, you can go with a flimsy, unimaginative bank pre-approval, or you can present your offer with an AccuNet rock-solid, fully verified, and guaranteed pre-approval that also might come with the phrase that really makes sellers happy: no appraisal required. When an appraisal is needed, we can also show you in dollars and cents what it means to willingly pay a certain dollar amount over the appraised value if that's what's needed to win, which is usually a lot less scary than people imagine. Reduce your risk of home shopper heartbreak by getting started with your rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval at AccuNet.com. That's ACCUNET.com.
Welcome back on WTMJ. Sorry, I was letting that ride a little bit. Thanks, Jaslyn. Appreciate that. I'm Tracy Johnson in for Steve Scafidi on this Wednesday. Wow, that was a action-packed half hour with Jay Curtis. And now we are joined by Brian Jacobson, Chief Economist from Annex Wealth Management. Brian, you are no stranger to this station or this show. Thanks for being here.
Oh, it is definitely an honor. Thank you.
All right, so where do we start? I mean, tariffs, taxes. What's going on in the economy today after the president's remarks and after the tariffs just took effect hours ago?
That's right. Yeah. So beginning Tuesday morning, we had the tariffs against Canada and Mexico officially going into effect, and then 20% tariffs on Chinese goods also going into effect. And I think it's important to remember that these tariffs are for a very particular agenda item of the president, which is the deal with immigration and fentanyl. Now, the other tariffs that might be coming, those are scheduled to go into place, one, March 12th. That would be on steel and aluminum, and then probably April 2nd or later. That's more, I think, his longer term policy in terms of what are called reciprocal tariffs. So basically, if they tax us, we will tax them to try to level the playing field a little bit. But the ones that went into effect, it took, I think, a lot of people by surprise that it actually happened, mainly because there was a lot of thought on Wall Street that the parties, so whether it was the president of Mexico or the prime minister of Canada, that they were in constant communication with President Trump to try to come to an agreement that they're either doing enough or promising to do enough as it relates to border security. And apparently it wasn't quite enough. And that's why the market had the reaction it did.
But when I talk to manufacturers, some business leaders have been saying that this has been a long time coming. We have been trying to onshore for years and years and years, but our policy just hasn't mandated it. Now it's like, okay, guys, we're doing this.
That's right. Yeah, you can use sticks or carrots, right, in terms of trying to encourage people to do things. The stick approach is about the tariffs. The carrot approach would have been things like, subsidies, tax deductions, things like that. And I think a lot of businesses, especially in the automotive sector, they really viewed the NAFTA, so the North American Free Trade Agreement from 1994, which was then renegotiated by President Trump in 2018. So the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement, where that basically, I think in their mind, created this unified, almost borderless world in North America, where it was fine for them to, as long as they were abiding by the terms of the agreement, to set up shop in Canada, Mexico, and the United States and have their production lines go across those borders almost seamlessly. And I think that that's really what has taken some people by surprise, is that there hasn't been some sort of carve out or exemption, just because they've been relying on basically 30 plus years of precedent here as far as policy. And then to change that on a dime really took them by surprise. And President Trump did make reference to that last night in his address to Congress, saying that he has spoken to the leaders of the big three automakers. And then Howard Lutnick, his Commerce Secretary, mentioned this morning that there's likely going to be some sort of agreement so that it's not quite as disruptive as what it might seem to be at the moment.
So we heard a lot about tariffs last night, but we also heard that there would be a kind of a movement to unburden companies by getting rid of regulatory, a more stringent regulatory environment. So doesn't this kind of work in concert with making it easier to do things here in America, and that eventually will be good for businesses here and job creation?
Yeah, this is almost an all of the above approach to policymaking in terms of the sticks and the carrots, right? So you have the stick in terms of tariffs saying, okay, make it here or else. And then you have the carrot approach, which is in terms of, look, we're going to create a very hospitable environment as opposed to a hostile environment for businesses in terms of regulation, taxes. You can maybe depreciate, the equipment when you put it into place. And so it really is this all of the above approach. And the problem, though, I think, is that those deregulation and the tax things are still not quite put into place, right? You're getting almost the stick first and the carrot is coming later.
Yeah, that's interesting, the timing of all of that. Speaking of timing, in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be watching for a few things. And we talked about this yesterday. You've got the Fed meeting coming up. You've got the CR vote coming up. You've got the budget reconciliation bill coming up. How do you see all of this playing out and the timing and not even the politics of it, but how is the market going to react?
Yeah, it could be one of those things where, March is it's supposed to come in like a lion and go out like a lamb, or vice versa. So it kind of flips. And maybe that's the same thing here, is it's come in like a lion, maybe it'll go out like a lamb, because we do have March 14th is the deadline for a continuing resolution to continue funding the government. There is the budget resolution that the House of Representatives passed. They're negotiating with the Senate. Maybe they could bundle that all together, lift the debt ceiling as well. That would be a positive. And now I think the wild card here is, what is the Fed going to do? They've already signaled that they're on pause for now. Their next meeting is March 19th, and they're probably not going to change their stance as far as what they're going to do, but they're releasing their projections about how now are these proposed tariffs likely to affect growth and inflation, because they have a particular worldview about what it means for growth and inflation, and they're going to set their policy based on that worldview. Sounds like they are viewing this as slightly inflationary. And so my worry is that they're going to take somewhat of what we would call a hawkish stance with monetary policy and say, hey, we're going to hold for a while until we see the full shakeout of these tariffs and the effects on inflation.
Well, and the timing of that, like you said, is all happening here in March. And, all of that also is going to impact what happens with the elections. We have a very important election here in Wisconsin. And whether we like it or not, what happens on a national level, it trickles down to what's happening here. Brian Jacobson, Annex Wealth Management, that is a great take. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit closer to home, and that is data centers and what's happening here in Wisconsin with Microsoft and all the data center development. I think you've got a great perspective you can share with us. Also, we heard some news that Microsoft is making some changes to their leases. Does that impact our economy? It's 9:43 on WTMJ. I'm Tracy Johnson, in for Steve Scafidi.
Hi, this is Michelle Voskel, CPA and team member at the Neal Group. Happy New Year. How's business? Do you really know? We recently worked with several clients who thought they knew, but didn't because their books were not in order. Imagine thinking you were making $1 million, but because your books are a mess, you were really only making $200,000. Quite a difference. Imagine finding out expenses were not properly recorded or sales were double recorded. If these happen to you, we can help. We work with our clients to clean up their books and give them the information they need to know where their business is now and where it is going in the future. Don't wait. Start on the path to less stress, more cash in your pocket, and no more sleepless nights. Call us at 414-325-2040 or visit nealgroup.net today to book a meeting. We can talk over Zoom, the phone, in our office, or your place of business. Yes, we like to visit our business clients. Don't wait any longer. Call 414-325-2040 or visit nealgroup.net.
We love being a trusted friend in the community for those who need an attorney but don't know where to turn. Our clients aren't the kind of people who typically bring lawsuits. Our clients have been hurt in a crash or accident and need our help and advice. I'm Frank Pasternak of Pasternak & Zergabel. Jeff Zergabel and I are injury attorneys living, working, and giving back in our community. When you need help from exceptional personal injury lawyers, go to Pasternak & Zergabel at injurywisconsin.com.
If you're a woman looking to take control of your financial future, you are not alone. Women are leading the way in business and managing household finances, but challenges still exist. That's why Annex Wealth Management presents the Women in Wealth series every third Thursday. It'll empower you with knowledge and resources to succeed. Join us for collaborative discussions, community building, and learn about key areas of financial planning. Women in Wealth events are free every third Thursday. Sign up at annexwealth.com/events and bring a friend.
Spas. The Swim Spa Hot Tub and Sauna Show is coming this weekend inside the arena at the Waukesha County Fairgrounds. Rows and rows of spas, hot tubs, cold tubs, and swim spas. The largest display in the state. Save up to 60% on all in-stock models. This weekend only inside the arena at the Waukesha County Fairgrounds.
Looking for a totally rad flavor adventure, brochachos?
Look no further than Surfer Boy Pizza as seen in Stranger Things. Each mouth-watering variety contains rich tomato sauce, delicious mozzarella cheese, and a gnarly range of toppings. The crust is crispy on the outside and airy on the inside. You'll think it was hand-tossed by the Surfer Boy Pizza dudes themselves. Look for it in the freezer aisle at your local store and buckle up your taste buds with Surfer Boy Pizza.
I can see the breath inside my house. This is how horror movies start.
First, the cold seeps in. Next thing you know, you're spooning your cat for warmth.
I tried it. He bit me.
Jason, come on, man. You need a new furnace. Don't you know that Capital is giving away the furnace when you get a new AC?
Giving as in free?
Yeah, but call Capital before this turns into the horror version of Frozen. Call Capital today and get a free furnace with a new AC.
Old-fashioned service, you can't go wrong. Call CapitalCares.com.
Welcome back on WTMJ. I'm Tracy Johnson in for Steve Scafidi. Brian Jacobson with Annex Wealth Management joining us. So the way I found you, Brian, is not only because you have lots of great things to say about the economy, is you had made a comment last week about data centers in Wisconsin when Microsoft made the announcement about their lease. And this is an area that I'm very familiar with working in commercial real estate. We're seeing so much news about data centers, data center here, data center there. Why is this happening right now in Wisconsin?
Well, I think the biggest reason is because you've got that great development going on in southeast Wisconsin that's being funded by Microsoft. It's the about $3.5 billion data center that's going up in the village of Mount Pleasant. And I think some people are kind of wondering, are they going to pull a Foxconn? That's been one of the things that I've heard before in terms of, right, they went in there, big development, but they ended up having to pivot to something else, something somewhat smaller. And now there has been a few reports coming out of Wall Street saying, have we gone too far with building data centers? There was a particular research report that was put out by a firm called TD Cowen. So they do a lot of analysis of businesses. They don't work at those businesses, right? So they are outsiders looking in. And what they noticed is that Microsoft, they canceled their leases on 2 data centers. And that raised some concerns about, are they pulling back on their commitment to data centers? And what does this mean now for that development down there in the village of Mount Pleasant? And I think my perspective on it is that it's kind of like if you are a firm and you are growing, you have your own facility, sometimes you contract out some of the manufacturing that you can't do in-house, maybe because you don't have the capacity. You're going to try to build into it over time. And I think that really what's happening is that Microsoft is committed to doing the data centers. It's just they'd rather own it rather than continually leasing it, especially since given the demand for data centers, those lease terms, that can be pretty pricey for those companies.
Well, in those data centers, we're seeing not only southeast Wisconsin, but also in Port Washington. We just heard some news of the land assemblage up in Port Washington. But, why is this happening? Is it because the push for AI? And what does this mean for the economy? Because local residents aren't so excited about this sometimes because there is such a draw on resources and infrastructure.
Well, yeah, these things consume a lot of electricity. And if you just think about any big development, there's always kind of, I think, some skepticism for the people who live there, the insiders, as far as their view about, I don't want this in my backyard. Maybe I do want to have that type of resource, but I don't want it right next door, right? So I totally understand that. And that's actually why a lot of these data centers are trying to locate in areas that aren't heavily populated, but that they're also closer to sources of energy. Some of them are trying to locate actually almost on site with some of the electricity generating capabilities. And that's one of the big things. These are for artificial intelligence. Now, data centers can be used for other purposes, but the big push now is because of the huge demand that's out there for artificial intelligence, both for making these models that are used to answer different questions, and also then for what the different applications that can be built on top of them. So I think that this is a long-term trend. We're probably only 2 years into a build-out that some estimate could continue to grow at a rather rapid pace for the next 10 to 15 years. And so Wisconsin is, I think, in a good position in terms of land availability, climate. You also have highly skilled workforce to work on these and also to service them. And then the electricity generating capability. These data centers are basically going to be working with We Energies and local electricity generating providers in order to build the capacity so it's not such a huge drain on residential and commercial needs for electricity.
Well, and there's a lot of concern too, though, that there won't be enough power and enough energy. So you're seeing a lot of that discussion take place at the local level and the statewide level. One other interesting thing, you spoke about location and trying to locate by these energy sources and labor pools, but also with relation to water, because it takes a lot of water to cool these generators and to keep these facilities up and rolling.
Well, absolutely. And one of the interesting technologies that they're kind of been experimenting with is, can they actually make these underwater? That's maybe more pie in the sky at the moment, but it could become a reality at some point, is that because you do have to cool these things. Like if you think about your laptop computer, if you set it on your lap for too long, it gets a little hot, right? Imagine that scaled up just by millions, if not billions of times that in terms of the amount of heat. And so these things need to be cooled. And actually, local manufacturers are benefiting because they have technology to provide the cooling systems for this. So I think that really shows how this isn't just about bringing in money from Microsoft. They're going to plop in this data center. They're going to bring in their own people. There's a whole ecosystem and the interconnections as far as how it is that area businesses can benefit from really fostering the development of these data centers here.
Well, yeah, and as someone who works in commercial real estate, that's the other thing we look at, right, is what are all the adjacent industries and what not only the other companies that will co-locate, but all of the housing that will be required, and what does that mean for our economic development community, our tax base, and all of that. Brian Jacobson, thank you so much for sharing your insights. I want to give you a chance to plug. You had a webinar coming up with Mr. Scafidi in the next couple days.
We are incredibly excited that next week, Tuesday, so March 11th from 1 to 2 o'clock, we are teaming up with Steve Scafidi to do a webinar on tariffs and how they could affect portfolios. So we're going to start with the macro and get down into the markets. And with all the tariff news, we figure it was about time to bring some clarity to the topic.
I appreciate your expertise. Brian Jacobson, Annex Wealth Management, thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
All right. I'm Tracy Johnson in for Steve. We got one more segment. We'll wrap it up after the break.
Whatever you want to call this season, we're over it. Time to look forward to
Fly ball, right field. It is deep. It is gone.
spring training is finally here and back on the radio.
It is way gone over the batter's eye and out of here for William Contreras.
Make sure to catch our next spring training broadcast as the Brewers take on the A's Thursday at 7:05. No matter the season, we are the home of the Brewers. WTMJ.
Do you know the secret to losing up to 1 pound of fat every day? At Milwaukee Weight Loss, we know the secret. Our doctor-developed, easy-to-follow weight loss program helps you lose weight fast, naturally and safely, and with no drugs or injections with risk of serious side effects, no prepackaged meals, bars, shakes, and no exercising required. Our program helps reset your metabolism so you can keep the weight off for good with a coach for ongoing support. Our program costs up to half as much and works up to twice as fast as most other programs. Go to MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com to schedule your free consultation.
Hey, it's Brian Noonan. I've only been on this weight loss journey for 3 weeks. I've already lost 23 pounds thanks to the amazing team at Milwaukee Weight Loss. I've been eating healthier, drinking more water, and I feel a lot more energized. There's no better way to start the new year.
Many patients lose 20 to 30 pounds in about a month or two. That's up to a pound per day. Schedule your free consultation by calling 262-449-1180 or online at MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com. That's MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com. Results may vary.
Let's take your inside living outside. Outdoor Living Unlimited puts cool stuff in your yard. Patios, decks, pergolas, outdoor kitchens, screen rooms, even in-ground pools. You dream it, we design it together, then Outdoor Living Unlimited installs it for you. OutdoorLivingUnlimited.com.
Hey, it's Jason Wilde for Excel Custom Decks. I at least like to think I'm an expert when it comes to football, but I know Excel are truly experts when it comes to the art of deck building. With the finest materials and products combined with their superior craftsmanship, they'll deliver exceptional quality and value on everything from backyard decks to pergolas and outdoor kitchens. If you can dream it, Rob and his family can build it. Family-owned Excel Custom Decks delivers decking excellence by design. Visit excelcustomdecks.com to learn more.
Artwork, especially original artwork, can be pricey. But when you take it in on consignment from nice people like you who are just ready to change the look of their home, you can price it right. And you'll find a lot of it at Design Exchange. Beautiful frame pieces by a number of notable artists. And new ones pop in all the time. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor at a value. In Heartland and Pewaukee.
Design Exchange.
Now these tend to fly off the shelves. But don't worry, because our connection supplies us with a lot of them. Vintage ceiling tiles from once great old buildings in New York City that make for ultra-unique artwork. These items are definitely hard to find from anywhere else around here. So come take a look, and you'll probably find a treasure. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor at a value. In Heartland and Pewaukee.
Design Exchange.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
So many topics, so little time. Thank you for being with us today on WTMJ. Jaslyn, as always, thanks for doing a great job. We had a lot of people in and out and a lot of technology. Brian Jacobson, Annex Wealth Management, joined us, and Jay Curtis from IRG, sharing expertise. All right, everyone, have a great day. Be great, and a blessed Lent to those who celebrate. Stay tuned. Jeff Sherman and the Upswing are next.
Tariffs and the threat of their implementation have become a central part of United States trade and foreign policy. What are tariffs? How are they implemented? And what sectors of the economy could benefit if they're put in place? Join me and Annex Wealth Management's Dave Spano, Chief Economist Brian Jacobson on March 11th at 1 p.m. for their informative webinar. Learn how your portfolio and your financial plan might be impacted and affected by tariffs. Visit the Annex Wealth Management webinar page at WTMJ.com.
Debbie Loziga here for Kohler Services. If you've been putting off your bath or shower remodel, now's the time to turn to Kohler Services. Family owned for 150 years, Kohler is your Wisconsin manufacturer providing care for life. This month only, get $1,000 off your Luckstone shower remodel and no payment financing until 2026. Visit KohlerServicesWI.com to request your free quote with fast professional installation always included. That's KohlerServicesWI.com.
As clutch of a player to ever play basketball.
It's game time on Season 4 of Behind the Bucks on Bucks Plus.
This year, I was like, I need to impose myself more on this team.
Explore Damian Lillard's journey to becoming a top 75 player in NBA history.
That's what really had me feeling like this is going to be great.
Behind the Bucks is presented by Gallagher, your trusted insurance broker and H&R benefits consultant. Find Bucks Plus on bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, and wherever you get podcasts.
If you're living with joint pain in your shoulders, hips, elbows, and knees, and you have Medicare or Medicaid insurance, coming to Rejuvenex to solve your pain problems is something you should strongly consider. First off, because our FDA-approved pain treatments have been shown in many cases to be highly effective at reducing inflammation and substantially alleviating pain. Secondly, Medicare and Medicaid cover Rejuvenex treatments, so your cost could be nothing, or next to nothing at all. Chronic pain will only worsen with age. This leads to a far more compromised lifestyle, depression, and soon they start talking surgery. And then what? You have to get in front of arthritis and chronic pain, because the sooner you do, by letting us begin to calm those pain points, the better. I'm Rejuvenex founder Richard Salinas, and we can alleviate your pain so you can rejuvenate your life. Go Go to rejuvenex.com to request your free pain evaluation.
We've saved our clients over $19 million in real estate commission. I say this because that's a pretty big number. But at Century 21 Benefit Realty, it's really not about being a top volume agency. Over here, it's more about you. And at 1.9% commission and no more than $19,000 commission, for the listing side of your sale, no matter what size property you're selling, you will save substantially. This is Angela Calais with Century 21 Benefit Realty, benefit-realty.com, where you pay less for full service. Each office is independently owned and operated. First off, our 1.9% commission structure helps get their foot in the door, and that's why agents like working here. But what they really like is having the strongest marketing tools available, with the resources to help them sell homes at the highest prices to satisfy their clients. Century 21 Benefit Realty offers what agents like most, and that's to help them be successful. If you really want to believe in the business model that you're representing, give me a call. I'm Angela Calais with Century 21 Benefit Realty. Call me, and let's talk about